Selling your home in today's real estate market, putting your house up for sale is a big move, but according to Lexington attorney Gina Ghioldi, knowing the legal ins and outs can bring the deal home. Gina joins us now. Gina, what do sellers need to know to consider before they put their house up for sale? What do they need to know?
Well, you need to interview those real estate brokers that you're going to be considering to actually put your house up on the market. And remember, you're going to be actually executing a contract with them. So do your research, interview, and get the right broker to work for you. And make sure you nail down some very specifics of what type of arrangement that you're creating with them, namely how much commission they're going to get and when they're going to get it.
Do you need an attorney in this? Can you do it without having an attorney?
Well, if you've got a good real estate broker, you probably don't need to involve the attorney until you have a good viable offer that you're considering accepting. But that offer form is very specific and it's a binding contract. So you don't want to just be taking it lightly. You want to hire somebody to take a look at it for you and advise you as to some specific information you want to have in the agreement.
Now talk about the purchase and sale agreement.
The purchase and sale agreement is really the crux of the entire deal. A lot of the specifics will be spelled out in that offer form and then we'll carry over to the purchase and sale. But the purchase and sale is where your attorney will really sink their teeth in, so to speak, for you. There are a lot of standard forms out there. Some are more specific to buyers, some are more favorable to sellers. But your attorney is going to put specific language in there, particularly with regards to what happens if the buyer breaches the deal, if they renege. Can you keep the deposit? Usually you can, but only if it's in that purchase and sale agreement.
So what types of things is a seller legally obligated to provide?
Well, here in Massachusetts, a seller of a home has to actually make sure that if their house is built before 1978, they have to give a lead paint disclosure form. That's very important. The broker will provide it for you, but you're on the hook. And the buyer has 10 days from receipt of that to go and have a lead paint inspection. And if you don't follow the rules and you don't provide it, you can be in a lot of trouble. There are a lot of fines, so pay very careful attention to that.
What about smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors?
Oh, here in Massachusetts you need both. And you have to have a specific number based on your house setup. So bring in the local fire department, have them tell you exactly what you need, and you're going to need to actually get a certificate of compliance before the closing happens. So do that well in advance.
So what about the closing? What does the seller need to know?
Well, the seller, first of all, is going to have to provide a deed to the buyer transferring the actual property, and your attorney will put that together for you. You also want to make sure that you take a very close look at the settlement statement, sometimes called the HUD statement, because that spells out all the financials of the transaction, and you're the one getting the money. So make sure that the costs are correct, the broker's commission is correct, and that they've actually taken care of things like making sure if you have oil still in the tank that you're getting compensated for that, that something called tax stamps here in Massachusetts are paid on your behalf. That's a mandatory tax that every seller has to pay when they sell their home.
Do you recommend that every seller use a realtor? What if someone says, look, I don't want to pay that money to a realtor, I want to do it on my own?
Those are called FSBOs, for sale by owner. And they do happen. It's a little bit tougher in a buyer's market. But if you want to put the house on the market by yourself without a broker, make sure then you involve an attorney early on, before you ever put out those ads, before you have your first open house, so you could really make sure that you've covered your legal bases and they advise you what to say, what not to say, what to promise, and what kind of warranties to give, particularly when people are touring through that house.
Well, what do you think about realtors? You know, they make so much, but you know, some people might think like they're not really doing anything that I can't do. Do you think it's worth it?
It is worth it, particularly if you want to make sure that you've got your bases covered, A, in terms of knowing everything that you're supposed to be doing legally, but also if you want to have a little bit of privacy, if you don't want people to be actually knowing the specifics of your family and you. It's a buffer. It's somebody who knows how to market it correctly. There are a lot of different types of relationships, though, that you can have with a real estate broker, so you really want to make sure they disclose to you what type of services they're going to be providing. And also, a typical real estate broker agreement will say that when they provide a buyer who's ready, willing, and able to purchase your house, they get a commission. Change that. Make sure that they don't get paid until the deal closes and you've got the money in your hands.
Is this a seller's or buyer's market right now?
You'd have to ask a real estate agent that.
Just curious.
But from the attorney's standpoint, it's always both. You know what? If you're a seller, you do need to be a little bit more aggressive now, and make sure also that when you take a look at those offers, you really pick the most viable buyer, because it is a bit of a buyer's market.
All right. Thanks, Gina, very much for
Thanks
joining
for
us
having
this
me.
afternoon. A reminder, you can see all of the day's news and streaming video on our website. Just go to NECN.com or the NECN pages of Boston.com, the online home of the Boston Globe.